to Smokie, I knew that my search for a guide was over, and that Smokie and I would travel the world together for a very long time to come. Note 1. The month-long training program was intense, but not without its fun. Smokie was highly trained for guide work. I wasn't. The first 2 weeks were spent getting to a level of competence where I could at least begin to allow Smokie to guide me. The last 2 weeks were devoted to honing our skills. What was most fun was getting to know Smokie. He and I got to know each other during that month, figuring out our likes, dislikes, what made us happy. The month was more than enough time for us to grow very close, to bond, as the trainers put it. A noticeable difference in my movement happened almost immediately as I learned how to work with Smokie. My movements had already started to take on a Smokie-like grace when he and I left the training school and moved home. This is where my movement into blindness with Smokie as my guide took me into a world I never thought possible. I spoke of this movement into blindness with Smokie in my book, The Two-in-One, Walking with Smokie, Walking with Blindness. In it, I describe in detail getting to know Smokie and working with him at the guide dog training school. I spoke, too, of moving home and of becoming even closer to Smokie, and of learning the nuances of working with him as he guided me through the world and into a new experience of blindness. In the summer of 1997, Tanya and I packed up our belongings. Along with Smokie, Cassis, Tanya's black Labrador, and our 2 cats, we piled into a van and 2 of our friends drove us to Antigonish, Nova Scotia, where we embarked on 9 years of teaching in the Department of Sociology at St. Francis Xavier University. I also speak of this experience in Two-in-One. On June 4th, 2001, Smokie passed away following a brief struggle with liver cancer. We remained in Antigonish until 2006, when we moved back to Toronto. During this time, Cassis passed away, and so did Jessie and Sugar. Tanya and I moved back to Toronto, alone, with our memories. What follows may be read as reflections on my life with Smokie after his passing. His influence on me and my experience of blindness remains as strong now as it was when he was alive. While The Two-in-One was written in my voice, this book is written in what I have come to know as Smokie's voice. I tried to imagine how he would interpret and understand some of what I wrote in The Two-in-One, and what he might think of my life since his passing. This book, then, is one of imagination. It asks how different perspectives, ones that can be reached only through imagination, influence us. In particular, this book asks us to imagine the perspectives of blindness and of non-human animals, and asks us to imagine even sight as a perspective. This project, I came to realize, had been years in the making. It marks a 30-year and counting relationship I have with Smokie. 10 years when he was alive and we were together, as he and I think of it, and 20 years since his passing. As I said earlier, we spent the first 5 years of our life together in Toronto, and the remaining years in Antigonish. Since Smokie's passing, Tanya and I returned to Toronto, where we continue our work in disability studies at the University of Toronto. I retired from the university a few years ago and continue my work at a more leisurely pace. My work in disability studies has changed in recent years. It engages less and less with disability in general and focuses, not in an ocular-centric way, more directly on blindness. Smokie's continuing influence on my life and work has not only grown, it has sharpened and intensified. And it seems to have done so as though in sync with my refocus on blindness. He has been with me in this refocus, a move which has proven to be not only intriguing and mysterious, but adventuresome as well. As I was beginning to embark on this new path, I met Dan Goodley, a disability studies scholar from the UK. Like the new path, my ever-growing relationship with Dan was full of wonder, mystery, and adventure. He is, without question, one of my best friends. More than that, Tanya and I have become very close friends not only with Dan, but with his partner, Rebecca Lotham, head of the School of Education at the University of Sheffield, and their 2 daughters, Ruby and Rosa. We have come to characterize our